Tehillim, the Sefer Tehillim, also known as the Book of Psalms. Now, Psalms is not a Jewish word. It's not a Hebrew word. And I always think that these Psalms are actually reflections on his own position, but they're songs where he's singing the song to God. This is one of the beautiful things about David. Not only was he beautiful to see, his behavior just sparked just tremendous grace, but he was also very talented. He was a talented musician, a warrior, a soldier. He was the gifted one, our Dode, our David. So what we're going to do today is we're going to come back in here. That was the front cover without the flap. We'll look a little bit at the introduction before we get to Psalm number 43. That's what we're going to learn today. Now let me see if I can get this closer, if it'll help to see it better. I'll just try to keep it in line. So the introduction, still reading on, it says like this. Adam was created on the 6th day, on the eve of the first Sabbath. That day consisted of 12 hours. In the 9th hour, God informed Adam of his duties and restrictions and commanded him to obey, and also warned of the dire consequences of disobedience. Adam's role as conductor, caretaker of the world was meant to endure for only 3 hours. Why? From the 9th to the 12th. Had he not succumbed to sin during those critical hours, Sabbath would have been ushered in, and the world would have risen to sacred perfection. But Adam failed to follow the divine imperative. Instead of welcoming the Sabbath into Eden, you would have there the ultimate coupling of male and female forces. Remember that Adam at this point is a male and a female, both. But Adam failed to follow the divine imperative. Instead of welcoming the Sabbath into Eden in the 12th hour, it was then that he was in fact driven out. Not only did he fall, he dragged the entire universe down with him into physicality, because the Kabbalists say that at the original point, before this sin, Adam was much less physical. He didn't have the physicality that we have. He devoted the rest of his life to repentance, though. Adam scoured the pages of history. He looked through what was going to become, and he was searching for that one unique soul which could lead the world back to perfection. I'm thinking now of the Jewish people in the time of war, and they keep putting out really publicity about the soldiers singing and dancing, and this is the way of our King. He discovered the soul of David, which was inscribed to live for only 3 hours, because the portion was to bring the upper world and the lower world together, symbolizing that David was destined to take over Adam's 3-hour mission of universal leadership and direction. Adam granted David 70 years of his own life in which to fully accomplish this task. He also endowed him with the essential gifts of sovereignty and song. He's a king, he rules, but he's the singing king, the king who's the poet, the king who searches and yearns to be close to his God. He said, what was the true nature of Adam's sin, and how did David plan to erase it? That we will learn as we go along. Now let's go over to the Tehillim itself. We're going to do number 43 today. Here's 44. Let's get to number 43. It's not a very long piece. Here's 42. Here's 43. So the Art Scroll writes this. This psalm is a direct continuation of the preceding one. Once again, the psalmist expresses his deep yearning for redemption from the agony of exile. The devout Jew, who mourns the destruction of the temple and the long exile of our people, arises at midnight to recite Tikkun Chatzos. Tikkun Chatzos is a collection of psalms and prayers which reflect the intensity of our grief that we have lost our land. We are submissive, forced to be submissive to the rule of the Gentiles. Tikkun Chatzos is divided into two sections. Now the first half, the Tikkun Rachel, is a dirge of sorrow and despair, echoing the bitter tears of Mother Rachel, who weeps for her exiled sons. The second section, which is called the Tikkun Yaakov and Leah, I only know it as the Tikkun Leah, but here he says the Tikkun Yaakov and Leah because the Tikkun deals with both these male-female qualities, reveals a ray of hope for Israel's future. The patriarch Yaakov was never separated from his first wife Leah. Even in death, the couple did not part, for their remains were interred side by side in the cave of Machpelah. This symbolizes the inseparable ties which link Israel to God. Even the apparent death of the nation, the fact that we were destroyed off our land, its exile from its homeland had not severed the bond of love which unites Israel and the Almighty. So therefore, Tikkun Yaakov and Leah begins with Psalm 42 and then goes to Psalm 43, which is where we're at right now, which tells of Israel's thirst for God, a thirst which goes undiminished and unquenched throughout the endless years of exile. Israel remains with hope. The day when it comes, it will probably be wed to its eternal partner in the Holy Temple. Now, in Kabbalistic terms, this is called the ultimate yichud, coming back to the spiritual force of the universe. Now, let's look over here. Let's read these very simple sounds. So here we are at a time of war, a time of worry. Our king says, "Avenge me, O God, and champion my cause against the people without kindness. Help me to escape from a man of deceit and iniquity. For you are the God of my might. Why have you abandoned me? Why must I walk in gloom because of the foe's oppression? Dispatch your light and your truth. They will guide me. They will bring me to the mount of your sanctuary and to your holy dwellings, that I may come to the altar of God, to God the gladness of my joy, and praise you on the kinnor," that's a harp. "O God, my God, why are you downcast, my soul? And why do you yearn for me? Anticipate God, for I shall yet thank him, my salvation, the light of my countenance, and my God."